Now, once again, Raymond and Fr.
Welcome to our World Over After Show. He is the 60th chaplain of the U.S. House of Representatives. He's only the second Roman Catholic and the first Jesuit to hold the post. Here to tell us about his new job and the challenges is Father Patrick Conroy. Father Pat.
Thank you.
Now, you, in an interview I read, you said, whenever I do enter into a political discussion or have a political thought, personally, I get more and more upset. The indication here is that as you've gotten older, you kind of have more firmly held on to your personal political views. How will that affect you in this new position?
Well, I'm not sure that that's what it means.
Okay.
In my life, I have found that there have been a number of things that when I was younger, maybe this is why I thought I'd be a politician, I loved to get in all kinds of arguments about all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And as time went on, I started to cull out the kinds of things that I thought were worth arguing about, and learned over time it's more important to be friends with people than it was to win an argument. And so there's been a number of areas of my life as gone along where I have much more serenity, as people in 12-step programs would say, with all kinds of people that I would disagree with on any number of things. Well, the last holdout is in matters of political discussion. And have found, actually, that an awful lot of friends have political positions very different from my own. And I found myself having to make a judgment. Do I really want to get into this, or do I want to be this person's friend? And to be placed in a political environment, I mean, I think, this is open to any kind of interpretation, I think God's saying to me, I want to help you out here. I'm going to put you where your job is not to go there.
I mean, Father, this is the most politically polarized cauldron anywhere in the world. I mean, you have people, and in recent years, this isn't the Congress of only, I mean, I covered Capitol Hill, gosh, it's almost 20 years ago now. It was a very different body even then, and that's when Newt Gingrich was Speaker of the House. There was still more collegiality. You didn't have quite the hardened sides that you have today. How difficult is that for you as the chaplain to this very divided group, some of them Catholics on both sides of the aisle, claiming to embody the Catholic position when only one of them can be right in some cases?
Well, I don't know I haven't met any Catholic anywhere that possesses all of it. Okay, so, you know, the Congress was very bitterly divided in the late 1700s. So it's not like this is the first time ever. So I think these things can be cyclical, and I bet it is. So that we'll come out of this towards, you know, a little more civility. I don't know how we're going to get there, and I certainly hope I would be able to be some part of that. But I've often found out when I was a practicing attorney, I was a defense attorney, and I found what I was good at, or a way of my practicing law. If I could get my client to stop hating the policeman who had arrested him, and I could get the policeman to see my client as, you know, a pretty nice guy. He was nice to me, so I mean, he could be nice to you. And for people to kind of like get less antagonistic, even though they're on opposite sides, I would feel like I had done a pretty good representation both to the criminal justice system as well as to my client. So it's kind of, that's the kind of way I've sensed myself. I mean, I'm often the person that that's the friend of people who can't get along. I mean, just so this, in some ways, is a position that, I mean, I'm looking around and thinking, I've been in this kind of place before.
Would you see it as your responsibility or duty if you had a Catholic individual, a congressman or a congresswoman who didn't understand how church teaching should inform their decision on the Hill, to educate them on what the church teaches?
Oh, I would certainly do that. I understand that my position would be to do that in the internal forum.
Right.
Not to do it publicly, but to
anybody.
do it in conversation. And of course, my understanding is that each person is bound to follow their own conscience. And in that situation, the question would be, is your conscience properly formed? And if not, where and why not? I've often found that the way people change their position isn't by being told point blank, you know, you're really stupid on this, or you're really wrong about this. It's like, well, do you understand that the problem with this might be that it leads over here, and is that where you want to go? Or might it not be this? Did you ever think that it might be looked at this way, or a little bit differently than you've experienced it before, or even thought about it before? And I've always tried to do that with myself. Whenever I felt, you know, that I've had a real strong position about something, something in me is kind of like, there's something wrong with this because you don't know everything.
The alarm bells go off.
Yeah, it's like, okay, wait a second. What are you missing? So I would think that, and I would hope I would have the relationship over time of trust and friendship that I would be able to do that, and they would understand the reason I was doing it was because I cared about them, and not because I had to be right.
In the last few weeks, the media has been filled. We've all been covering this Anthony Weiner story, a congressman who sent illicit pictures of himself out to various women. It was one of these huge scandals. He resigned. What do you think drives this sort of behavior? And it is not isolated to this one individual. We see a lot of this acting out, and particularly sending images of oneself to these people. What is it about Congress and that level of stress or power that leads to this kind of acting out, do you think?
Well, actually, you can see a lot of this kind of behavior with adolescents, too. So some of it actually has to do with, I think, a naivete about what the internet really is. I mean, I don't know what the congressman was thinking. He might have been thinking, I know this person I'm sending this to, and that's going to be it. Well, that's not the way the internet works, okay? Now, is he exercising good judgment ever? Well, that's a little too much to say, but I do think that when people experience power, and they've been able to do things, pretty soon they begin to think that they're
invincible.
They're untouchable. And, you know, I've been able to get my way on many things, and maybe most of the things, at least in my circle of friends, I can get away with this too. And I think sometimes that's kind of what we do in this human condition we're in, is we tend to overdo what it is that we're good at.
Yeah. My final question to you, in your time, and I know you haven't been in the post all that long, on Capitol Hill, what do you see as the greatest spiritual threat to the members that you'll be helping in these coming years?
Well, I would say that the temptation to people who are used to accomplishing a lot, used to working hard, used to doing a lot of things, multitasking, the biggest temptation is to believe or begin to believe that that's the meaning of their life, that what they're doing and what they can accomplish is what the meaning of their life is, or who they are. And what gets lost is, I think, that basic human need or insight that I need to have some time when I'm not doing, when I'm not accomplishing. Sometime when I can step aside and be with my own thoughts, be with my own God, be, you know, to step out long enough to let God in. I think people get too busy and they forget to take the time that I think it's counterintuitive. Busy people need to do unbusy things. They need the rest or the relaxation or the introspection or the meditation, I think, to gather themselves to remember who they are and that, in fact, they are called to be better people and to be servants of God's people, whether or not that's their religious intention, but that's what they're called to, and that the way to do that is to be in better possession of who you are as a person, not as a doer, but as a human being. As a human being.
Yeah. Father Pat Conroy, thank you so much for being here. It's been a pleasure. For more information on the chaplaincy of the United States House of Representatives and Father Pat Conroy, visit chaplain.house.gov, and we'll do a special shout out to his mom and aunt who are in the front row of our audience there. Thank you both for being with us, and you, Father. We'll talk to you soon. That does it for our after show. You can always check in here for much more. Thanks for watching. Raymond Arroyo on behalf of our staff and crew. Bye now. Thanks, Father.